Okay, now, this is what we're going to be doing on this assignment here. You're not going to solve the whole problem, and here's why. You're going to set it up. So, I can see this problem. We have a second power, so there's two answers. Okay, two answers to the problem. And I have x second, and I have x, so that means I need to do the factoring. And I already have my 0, and I know there's three terms, so we set up our factoring boxes. Okay, so GCF, and then the T, but something weird is going to happen. Okay, so GCF, we do not have a negative. We do not have x on everything. So, smallest number is a 1, and so there's no GCF. Okay, so forget that. Okay, so A times C, it's going to be 2 times -7, and that's going to be -14. So we're going to look for a difference of 1. Okay, 1 and 14, no. 2 and 7, no. Now here's where it starts to get aggravating. 14 divided by 3, no. 14 divided by 4, no. 14 divided by 5, no. Divided by 6. And now I come to 7, but I already have 7 on my chart. So I can stop with my chart, but the problem is I have not found anything that gives me a difference of 1. So, you need to give me a second here to jot something down. We are going to use something called the quadratic formula. Now, it looks like a long formula, but the more you practice it, the more you're going to get it. Okay? There it is. It looks like it's like impossible. I want you to just set it up. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to put x equals, and you are going to make this big long line here. Okay? So the first thing I put on top is the opposite of the b. Well, our b is -1, so the opposite of the b is +1. So I put that down. I'll even circle that, okay? You can kind of split it into two. Then after that, you put plus minus. Then you make a big, long square root, okay? And what I need you to do before you worry about anything else is set up your parentheses. So you have a parentheses to the second, a minus, and then 3 parentheses in a row. Parentheses to the second, a minus, and then 3 parentheses in a row. Okay, so now I can put my b in, and I see that b is -1. And then we're always going to put a 4 in this parentheses. It's part of the formula, so we always put a 4 there. Okay? And then A, and A is 2. And then C, now C is -7, so if you have a minus, you need to put in. A lot of people just put 7 in, and then it leads to problems later on. And then I go to the bottom, and then we have a 2 that's part of the formula. And then A. Well, what was A? A was 2. Okay? That's all I want you to do for now. I just want you to set that up. I will teach you how to get your 2 answers tomorrow in the next one. Okay, 3x to the second minus 5x plus 1. So there's 2 answers. Again, we have x second and x, so since I have different kinds of x, we need to use our factoring process. Okay, so factoring, we got 3 terms. So GCF and the t. So GCF, do I have a negative in the front? I do not. Do I have x on everything? I do not. 1 is my smallest number, so if 1's the smallest and I don't have anything else, we can forget that part. So I take a times c, and that's going to be 3 times 1. It's positive 3. So if it's positive 3, you're going to look for a sum of 5. 1 and 3, but 1 plus 3 is not 5. 3 divided by 2 doesn't work, and then I'd have a 3, but I already have 3 on the chart. Okay, so I can stop and know that the t-chart is not going to work here. Okay, so I make the big long. It's called the quadratic formula. So the opposite of b, is positive 5 plus minus, then a big square root. And then set up a parentheses to the second minus 3 straight parentheses. So b is negative 5, and then 4, and a is 3, and c is 1, okay? And on the bottom we have 2 and a, so 2 and 3, okay? And that's all I need you to do on this video here. Okay, my next problem. X to the second power, so I put a 1 there. There's 2 answers. And we have x to the second and regular x, so we need to use factoring. So GCF, and then my t. So GCF, negative in front, no. Do I have x on everything? No. And then 1's the smallest, so there's no GCF. So I take a times c, so I will be taking 1 times 22, and that's 22. It's positive 22. So we're looking for a sum that equals 10. So 1 and 22, nope, that's not 10. 22 divided by 2 is 13, still not 10. Or it's not 13, it's 11, okay? That's 13. Now I start dividing, and I divide, and I divide, and I divide, and I divide. This is kind of a crappy one. And I divide, and I divide, and I divide, and I divide, but I already have 11 and 2, okay? So I'm done. I could not find anything. So we need to use our quadratic formula. So the opposite of b, opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. Plus minus the square root, so parentheses to the second, minus 3 straight parentheses. Okay, so b to the second, so I'm going to have negative 10 to the second, and then 4, a is 1, c is 22. And then I'm going to have 2 and a, so 2 times 1, okay? So I have 10, oh, sorry, we're not going any further, okay? Not in this video. We'll get in this the next time, okay? All right. Next one, 2 answers. I have x second, I have x, Okay, so again, it's another factoring problem. Whenever I have different types of x's to different powers, we're going to have to factor. So we have our 0. If you don't have 0, you need to get it. Okay. Okay, GCF, negative in front. I don't believe so. Do you have x on everything? I don't believe so. So there is no GCF. Okay. So a times c, we're going to be taking 8 times 2, and that's positive 16. Sum of 9. Okay, so 1 and 16, no. 2 and 8, that's 10. It's close, but close doesn't matter. 16 divided by 3, decimal. 16 divided by 4. Okay, I got twins. Okay, so, but 4 plus 4 is not 9. I got twins, so the list is done. It fails. Okay, so I write fail. So, opposite of b, so the opposite of b is negative 9, plus or minus the square root, parentheses to the second. Okay, so b to the second, and b is 9. And then again, I have a 4. 4 is part of the formula. So 4. And then a is going to be 8. And c is going to be 2. And then 2 and 8. So 2 times 8. Okay, now you just need to go through the last 4 and just set them up.